Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome back to another Room to Breathe podcast. I am your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so glad that you made space to be here today. Now, before we get into this episode, do me a quick favor. If you're feeling the vibe, go ahead and show some love. Tap that screen, like, comment, and be sure to share this out with someone who might need a little healing energy today. And if this is your first time here or you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that follow button, subscribe to our channel, so that way you're always tapped in when a new episode drops. I also want to personally invite you to check out our digital home at selfcareclub.org, where you'll find everything from affirmative apparel to motivational merch and free resources to nourish your growth and remind you that you are supported here every step of the way. Just know that you don't have to do this alone. We are healing in community, growing one breath, one moment, one day at a time. So give yourself permission to pause, to reflect, and to make space for peace, for growth, and most importantly, for you. If anything in this episode resonates, be sure to drop a green heart in the chat. It is our way of saying that I'm healing, I'm growing, and I'm showing up for me. Now, let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. Welcome in, Chef Chris. I see you. Ray, welcome in. Who we got over here? Angel. A lot of new faces in here today. Welcome in, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Choose me. Have an amazing day at work today. Thank you for your presence. You guys, today we are wrapping up our 4-day mini series, Petty But Peaceful. And we've reached day 4. And of course, our topic today is going to be, I'm not arguing about what I've already accepted. Coach, welcome in. Coach ran in here. She like, I need day 4, right? Have a great day, love. So listen, you guys, today we're cracking open day 4 of the Petty But Peaceful series. And this one is going to be for the folks who've finally stopped wasting their breath on people who weren't listening to them in the first place, right? Like, we're just going to go ahead and call it what it is. We're going to name it for what it is. I believe that there is power in pausing in mid-sentence, realizing that they simply don't want to understand, right? Deciding to let the silence speak louder than your defense ever could. Yeah, Coach, you like, I'm just, I mean, I could respond, but why? Why bother, right? And, that's because we understand that that's not a weakness. That's wisdom, right? That ain't petty. It's peace. It's a new kind of peace, right? The kind that requires no announcement, no argument, no explanation, right? Just boundaries, right? I just have boundaries. Cynthia, welcome in. See, we've been conditioned over the years to believe that if we just find the right words, that we can convince somebody else to act right, right? That if we just pour enough of our truth out on the table, that other people will stop pretending. But today, I'm talking to the version of you that knows better, right? The version of you that is healed and completely understands that, I don't need you to hear my side of the story anymore, right, Ghost? Like, I don't need you to understand my version or the way that I see it. I just need you to know that I see things differently, right? Yeah. It's like, why are we going to go back and forth? You asked, I answered. Like, I'm done. Congratulations, you guys. Welcome in. Janelle, welcome in, love. Like, I don't need you to see my side. I just need to stay on my side, right? Like, I just need to stay in my lane and worry about me. And I think, what many of us don't understand is that you don't need closure from somebody who was never open to you to begin with, right? Like, you don't need another round of disappointment just to prove that your spirit already knows, like what your spirit already knows, right? It's already been confirmed. Some folks showed you who they are, and you didn't miss the red flags. You just gave them grace for far too long. Go say it louder for the people in the back. I'm saying, like, we saw all the red flags. We saw them for exactly who they were, but we just showed them grace for too long. Like, we invited them to outstay their welcome. But today we're done explaining. We're done arguing. We are done trying to earn respect from people who only wanted access, not accountability. Right. It's, there are a lot of people in life who just want access to you. They just want to be in your space, but they have zero intentions on showing up and being accountable in that space. So I want to talk about what it means to accept people for who they are and let go of who they pretended to be. Okay. And in order for us to talk about that, we've got to start talking about discernment. And we need to understand that discernment ain't shade. Okay. It's a strategy. It's, not just some woohoo, like spiritual type of jargon. It is survival. It is sacred self-preservation. It's your spirit's way of showing up and throwing deuces before your ego catches feelings. Does that make sense to y'all? Like, it's not petty. It's not shade. It's not bitter. It's not vengeful. It's wisdom. Y'all gonna laugh at this, but I think it's like wisdom wearing heels and soft lace, showing up like, that's not for me, right? Because you got to put the heels on, because you got to look down at it and be like, I don't do that anymore. That's not what I do. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't have to explain why, because I'm strong and I'm confident, right? Like, I feel like discernment is your way, or is like a holy way of saying hell no. Like, I don't want that. It's like the divine's way of saying, nah, I'm good. Yeah, like that's style played out, right? Like, I'm good. It's our internal alarm system, that doesn't need a fire to start evacuating. Like, we know that this is going to end badly, so we're not even going to get into this. Like, we're not even going to do this. Right? And so discernment doesn't need screenshots. I don't need no group chat confirmation. I don't need no third party tea that you done sipped, spilt, spit in and handed to me. Like, I don't need any of that. It already peeped the patterns. It read the fruit. It saw the rot underneath the pretty packaging, right? And it don't need no drama. It just needed the data. And I got all that I needed. I've downloaded and received all that I needed. And that data is what protects our peace at all costs. And so a lot of us weren't ghosting people. We were honoring the boundary that our soul begged us to set. Yeah, we were on guard. Hey, Miss Portia. It's like, have you ever ignored that quiet whisper that said, this ain't it? But you done pushed through it anyway. You pushed forward anyway. Even though there was a little whisper that told you, this is not it. This is not for you. Don't do this. It's not going to work out. The math ain't mathing. But you did it anyway. And then boom, you find yourself sitting in a room with people filled with regret, wondering how you don't let your empathy talk you out of what your instinct already knew. Right? Ebony, thank you so much for the love. Right? And that's the cost of dismissing your discernment. Right? That's the price tag of pretending, people are safe just because they're familiar. Just because I know you, just because we go way back, doesn't mean you're a safe space for me. Rich Rising's beautiful. Welcome in. Holy hell, welcome back. Because listen, guys, if I'm being honest, sometimes the most dangerous people in our lives aren't strangers. They're the ones that hurt you. They're the ones that we grew up with. They're the ones that raised us, right? They're the ones you love through the red flags, through the pain. The ones you over explained yourself to, the ones who drained your spirit while smiling in your face, right? We know them backstabbers, right? And discernment has taught us never again, right? Never again. Like, we're not going to do that again. And I get it, because I know that cutting off people, cutting access to people feels harsh at first, right, Bryn? And, you know, the truth is discernment isn't hatred. It's honesty. It's not avoidance. It is our awareness. It's not running away. It's walking away before you lose yourself again. We have worked too hard. We have fought too hard to get to where we are now, to just turn back now. When you're growing, when you're healing, your spirit gets louder than your excuses. And discernment, it don't need to shout. It just moves differently. Right? It doesn't argue, it doesn't beg. It don't hope that other folks will change. It just says, this doesn't align with where I'm headed right now, and that's enough. That is enough for me to move differently. Have any of you ever been there? Right? Where you just didn't make an announcement, you didn't slam the door, you just stopped showing up in places where your peace was being taxed. You just logged off, bowed out, signed off, right? Blue, I know you know. I know you know. You done prayed about it, healed, pivoted without needing a whole story of why I left. No explanations as to why I left. I'm just not there anymore. Because when you really tap into discernment, silence becomes a boundary. Distance becomes a prayer, right? And your exit, that is the strategy. So I want to remind you, you know, if you are in this season, you're not angry. You're just done lying to yourself, right? You're not switching up. You're just walking in your truth, right, Ebony? It's like you're just walking in your truth. And that's the glow up that nobody talks about, right? These are the parts of healing that people don't want to admit. The one where you quietly outgrow dysfunction without needing an audience or an apology. A lot of times people are like, oh, I'm just waiting for her to apologize. My mom did this to me when I was a child, and I just want an apology. No one cares about the apology. Yes. Would an apology be nice? Absolutely. Is it going to bring you closure? Probably not. So sometimes we have to understand that our growth is dependent upon our ability to just quietly walk away. Right? The chaos, the hurt, the pain, that was loud enough. Exactly. You got to heal, even if that apology doesn't come. So if you're someone who's in that season where your spirit is guiding you to shift, cut cord, reclaim peace, I encourage you, trust it, honor it, move with it. And despite what society tries to tell you, that's not shade. That's not petty. That is discernment, and it is divine. Because the healed version of you is done arguing. We're simply here. We're just exiting, right? We're just leaving. And we have zero intentions of coming back. And if we could just be real for a moment right now, I really feel like somebody needs to know that you don't have to sacrifice your sanity just to be seen as the good one, right? People pleasing is by far one of the most silent forms of self-sabotage. And for many of us, it didn't start as a choice. It started as survival, right? We learned very early how to read the room, how to soften our tone, how to shrink your joy just enough so nobody felt threatened by your light, right? And Many of us did that so well. And so now that we finally started choosing ourselves, people swear that we changed, right? And we have, right? There's no need to even argue with them. Like, there's no need for us to even feel offended by the fact that people say, oh, you've changed. I have. I've changed from a version of me that was built on coping and compliance to a version of me that is rooted in clarity and calling. Right, Sherelle? Like, I have changed. I am brand new. I am different. And there's nothing wrong with that growth, right? It is sacred, it's divine, and it is long overdue. And so let's talk about what unlearning people pleasing really looks like. Because a lot of us suffer from that disease to please. We want to keep everybody happy, right? We want to be the peacekeeper. But unlearning people pleasing looks like saying no without a 3-paragraph essay, because nobody cares. When you tell them no, everything else you say is irrelevant to them. They do not care. So simply say no, period. And if this is a conversation that you're revisiting, I would recommend you say no with an exclamation point. That's it. I said what I said. Unlearning people pleasing looks like letting folks feel what they're going to feel about your boundaries and not internalizing their reaction. Because I said what I said. And I said it with authority because I'm finally the authority over me. Who knows something about that? Right? I can say it with my chest. I can speak my boundaries and speak my truth with my chest. And I'll say it with authority because I'm finally the authority over me. See, for years, we were not the authority over ourselves. And so a lot of what happened to us because we did not have authority of our own bodies, of our own minds. We were being shaped and molded by so many other people. So now that I am standing on business, right, Ghost? Now that I am the authority over me and I have full control over me, I'm going to allow you to feel how you feel about my boundaries. And I'm going to keep doing me. I'm not going to internalize it. I'm not going to allow you to project how you feel about what I'm doing and make me feel different about what I'm doing. Because, see, I done prayed on what I'm doing. And you've prayed on what I've done. Y'all get that? Like, I prayed to God before I took that step. And the whole time you were praying on me, not praying over me, but praying on me, ready to attack, ready to destroy anything that I was sent here to build. You were sent here to try to tear that down. So I'm done people pleasing because there's no way that I can please the people. And so sometimes it also means unlearning or unlearning people pleasing also looks like, I should say, letting the phone ring, right? Letting texts go unanswered, letting the drama exist without having to invite it in my space. I don't need to go look out the window and see what the neighbors are arguing about. That ain't my business. As long as they stay out my yard, right? I don't need to go sip the tea. I've grown up and realized I don't even like tea, right? I don't even need the drama. If I want a little chaos or if I need a little drama, I'm going to just pick up a book. Let me see what's on TV, right? I don't have to invite the drama and, into my peace, into my space. I also know that it looks like not auditioning for love in rooms that you were never meant to be in. Many of us are so busy running around trying to chase love from the very people who have hurt us from the start. You cannot heal in the same spaces that continue to hurt you. The more that you heal, the more comfortable that it begins to feel, and the more uncomfortable you become with being liked for the people you pretended to be. Did that make sense? The more that you heal, the more uncomfortable you become with being liked for who you pretended to be. See, people are still going to show up and they're going to want to attach to the person that you used to be. But the more you begin to heal, the more you will despise those people, because you start to recognize they like the unhealed version of you. They like the victim you. They like the hurt version of you, because that allowed them to manipulate you. That allowed them to control you, to change you, to shift you, to mold you to whatever they needed you to be. But the more you heal, the less you will be drawn to them, the less you will desire them in your space, because you see it for what it is. You know, so that version of you that always said yes, that was fear. That was not faith. Exactly, Ghost. They just feed off of it. That was your trauma, not trust. And that person is tired. So just go on and let her rest. Let him sleep. This is us stepping into the truth that our worth is not a performance, that our peace is non-negotiable, and our healing is not up for public opinion. Everybody doesn't get to weigh in on our healing. And let's just go on and go there for a second, right? A lot of people like you better when you're broken. They liked you better when you were quiet, agreeable, easy to manipulate, too tired to say no, right? But here you are now, speaking up for yourself, standing tall, protecting your peace like your life depends on it. Because it does, right? Your life absolutely depends on it. And so we have to understand that we're not selfish for setting boundaries. We're not mean for saying no. You're not wrong for choosing your peace over their perception. You're just not available for your own disrespect anymore. Like, I cannot continue to show up and disrespect myself by allowing people to treat me any kind of way. And that's the sacred part. That is like the holy reclaiming. That's you saying, I'm not going to keep abandoning myself so other people can stay comfortable. And so your petty but peaceful reminder for your soul today is a simple statement that says, I'm not going back to being palatable just to be accepted. I'm tired of dissecting myself into pieces to make it easy for other people to swallow. If my truth offends you, that's between you and your projection, right? It is not my responsibility to fix it. I'm fixing me. I'm healing me. I'm reclaiming my time. I'm reclaiming my truth. I'm reclaiming my tenderness. Every single thing that was taken from me, I'm coming and I'm taking it all back. And remember, you don't owe anybody access to the version of you that existed before you knew your worth. You owe no one nothing. Right? And so we have to start loving from a healed distance. We've got to start putting space. Hey, North Star. We've got to start putting space between us and them. Right? So let's normalize this right now. Saying, I love you, but I love me more. Y'all put that in the chat. I love you, but I love me more. And we're not saying that out of ego. We're not saying it out of pettiness. I'm stating that from a place of wisdom, right? A place of restoration, a place of deep divine self-respect. See, when we talk about healed distance, we're talking about love that no longer comes with a side of betrayal, right? Like, we're talking about boundaries that don't block love, they bless it. Because real love, healthy love, shouldn't require you to shrink. It should not require you to suffer or to silence your spirit just to be connected to them. Rich Risings, KL. There was a time when I confused closeness with connection. When I thought that loving someone meant that I had to be available, accessible, agreeable, right? Even when it hurt me. And so I thought that cutting off contact was cruel, but I've learned it's not cruel, it is clarity, right? And sometimes the kindest thing that you can do for both of y'all is to love from a distance that doesn't drain you. Not everybody deserves that front row seat to your healing. Some people were only meant to be a lesson, not a lifeline. And there are some chapters that need to close in order for your peace chapters to open. In order for peace to begin, you have to be willing to let things go. And I need you to hear me when I say this. Forgiveness is not an invitation to start over. Sometimes it's just a silent release. I forgive you and I'm moving on. I'm moving forward, right? It's that prayer whispered under your breath that sounds like, I wish you well, but I don't wish you back. It's like we said yesterday, I want you to eat, but I will no longer serve you here. That's right. Forgiveness does not require reconciliation. And again, you're not bitter. You're just better, right? I'm not bitter about it. It's cool. It's good. I'm better. The healed version of you isn't worried about proving you're the bigger person. Your peace will speak for you. Your absence will explain everything. Honey, that silence will teach them things that you never could have. That your words, you never would have had the words to teach them. Okay? You don't have to make a public statement. You just exit quietly, lovingly, fully, right? So, if you've been feeling guilty for kind of pulling back or protecting your energy, for not answering that text or showing up the way that you used to, release that. I want you to understand that that is not avoidance, that is alignment. You are shifting into something better. So you have to release that guilt. You are allowed to love them and still leave the door closed. You are allowed to release the version of you who kept showing up just to be overlooked, misunderstood, mistreated. This is your season to be unavailable to what disrupts your nervous system. This is your season to be unavailable to the chaos that you once called connection. This is your season to be unavailable to patterns that make you question your worth. Healed distance is not punishment, it is preservation. You're not choosing spite, you're choosing sanity. You're choosing softness. You are choosing you. So take the space you need. What do I tell you guys all the time? Don't be afraid to take up space and make room for you to breathe. Us setting our boundaries is our way of taking up space and making room for us to breathe. And understanding that I can bless them from a distance and still protect my peace up close. And I feel like some of us have just been spending way too much time trying to explain our evolution to people who ain't even tried to meet their own reflection in the mirror, right? It is time that we stop giving a front row seat to people who never clapped for our growth, had no intentions on clapping for our growth. Some of the very folks that you're trying to get to understand are still addicted to chaos. They're still worshiping dysfunction like it's gospel. And they're over there avoiding their inner work while you're out here bleeding breakthroughs. You're not required to translate your transformation to people who are fluent in trauma. Exactly, toxic. It's like these people or only speak trauma, only speak lack, right? And they're illiterate to accountability. You've spent years in the dark with yourself. You've been journaling your pain. You've been sitting with your triggers, crying through, your healing playlist, screaming into pillows, going to therapy. You've been praying more. You've been doing the shadow work, the forgiveness work, the inner child work. And you want me to explain that journey to someone who hasn't even started theirs? That is like speaking a foreign language. Exactly, Ghost. It's like you've cried rivers that have turned into oceans of wisdom. You've turned breakdowns into breakthroughs, and you still think that you owe somebody a PowerPoint presentation, and this person doesn't even show up to do anything but criticize? Nah, I'm not doing that anymore. It's like this chapter of my life isn't about proving anything to anybody. It's about protecting what I fought so hard for. And we have to begin to understand that not everybody deserves to witness this version of you. Not everybody is qualified to hold space for your expansion. And that's not bitterness. It is boundaries. And so we must begin to, affirm ourselves by saying, I'm no longer explaining my healing to the unhealed. I'm no longer arguing with people who never earned this front row seat. I'm no longer handing out access just because they knew the old me. I am healed, not available. Not available. Because the healed version of you is sacred. The peaceful you is precious. And this elevated version of you, that version of you is not up for debate. So again, let them think what they want. Let them misunderstand you. Let them gossip. Let them speculate. Let them twist and turn and assume and do all the things that they want to do. Exactly. Access denied. Welcome in, Aaliyah. Thank you for the follow. Their confusion is not your assignment. You are no longer in the business of emotional customer service. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to defend. You don't have to dilute your light to make broken mirrors feel whole. Protect your energy. Honor your growth. Trust your discernment, because you've already chosen you, and that's more than enough. So you don't need someone else to choose you. I choose me. I love me. I show up for me. So if nobody else does, hey, I got me. God's got me, right? I'm going to protect it at all costs, because that's the real flex, right? And, it just makes me also think, this is the point where a lot of people say like deliverance, right? But delivered to me means that I don't perform my pain anymore. Right? Like delivered doesn't mean that you've arrived at some perfect, polished version of yourself that never gets triggered, never slips, never cries. Right? I still mess up. I'm still triggered by things from my past. Right? Delivered simply means that you've retired from the performance of pretending, over functioning, over explaining, right? Why do I have to over explain my pain to make somebody else comfortable? Delivered simply means that you are done auditioning for love by bleeding out on stages that were never meant for you to stand on in the first place. Because again, let's tell the truth. For far too long, we've been clapping back in conversations just to prove that we're healed. Yeah, masking to be included, right? You've been explaining your piece to people who feed off of the chaos. You've been keeping the door cracked just enough for folks who only knock when their guilt gets loud. But like for me, that door is sealed now. And I didn't seal it with bitterness. I sealed it with boundaries. Not with spite, but with full self-respect. Because the healed version is no longer performing pain just to be relatable. I don't care if I'm a trending topic. I don't care whose FYP I land on. I'm not performing pain just so I can be relevant. I'm no longer dimming my joy to match someone else's emotional capacity or lack thereof, right? I'm done repeating patterns just to avoid silence, the silence of my growth. And yeah, it is awkward at first, right? At first, it's quiet. Healing is sometimes lonely, right? But delivered feels like isolation before it gets to elevation. There's levels to this. Trust the process. Stay the course. Keep going. Spark motivation. Welcome in. Ghost says, not gonna lie, being alone feels so good right now because I'm protecting me and my peace. Amen. Right? And you know, even though that healing part kind of feels lonely and feels quiet, let me tell you what's loud now. Your healing is loud now, right? In the way that you no longer respond to them old triggers. Your boundaries are loud now, right? Just like Ghost said. And the way our no doesn't shake, right? We used to be nervous to say no, but now, no. In all languages, no, nunca, nada, right? And our silence doesn't scream for an explanation. Like, no, period, mic drop, walk off the stage, whatever, right? Your peace is loud now. In the way that you've become unavailable to chaos, unbothered by the guilt trips, uninterested in revisiting places you've been delivered from. Delivered means you've taken the mask off. You've stopped performing roles that drain you. You've burned old scripts that, were written in trauma and fear. And now you're writing a new one, right? A new script to live by, filled with joy and clarity and discernment and sacred self-advocacy. So again, I want to let this land. You can love your past and still choose not to return to it. You can forgive your younger self without letting him or her run the show. You can mourn the things that you've lost, people included, and still not resurrect it. I don't need to bring life back to what God already destroyed. This show is over. This curtain has closed, right? The standing ovation is optional. But you've exited the stage, not because you were hiding, but because you're healed. And now, we're behind the scenes in our healing. Welcome in, Cardi. Hey, Papa Smurf, brother. Right? So now we're behind the scenes. But again, not to hide. I'm producing a life that doesn't need applause. I don't need the external validation. I now crave authenticity, alignment, and a whole lot of self-respect. A whole lot of self-respect. I no longer perform love, pain, or acceptance. I honor my peace without explanation. I'm not just healing, I'm being delivered, right? Because I know that my presence is a gift and I am being delivered, right? I'm being presented for something more, something better. The role that I am up for, many people don't understand. Many people can't even imagine. And they're going to be sitting around looking back, dag, how'd she get that? Don't worry about it. Because when I tried to explain it to you, you didn't want to understand. You didn't want to hear it. You know, all those days I got up on TikTok and Bigo and, you know, I was promoting this and pushing that. Oh, y'all didn't want to hear it. So when y'all see me over there and now all of a sudden I done, you know, elevated, don't worry about what I did. Right? Because they have the opportunity to grow with you. And many people choose not to. Right? Go say that shit louder for the people in the back. Listen, discernment is now my defense mechanism, y'all. Okay? Because I know that I'm not bitter. I know that I'm better, right? And better doesn't mean arrogant. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm better than you. I'm not trying to say that I'm better than anybody. I'm better than who I used to be. Right? And that's what's most important to me. So I'm not being arrogant. It's not trying to be cocky. I'm trying to get in alignment. Right? Exactly. Accountability for yourself. And discernment is that sacred inner knowing that doesn't need the receipts to recognize a pattern. It doesn't need a breakdown to trust a boundary. It's built in protection, like it's like an internal protection plan. And it activates the moment that you start listening to your healed self instead of your hopeful self. Because there's a difference between being healed and being hopeful. Like, I'm all for setting an intention and manifesting some stuff, y'all, but you got to put action. They say faith without work is dead, right? So I have to listen to my healed self and tell my hopeful self, girl, sit down, be quiet. Because hope will have you waiting on potential. Healing will have you walking in your purpose. But baby, I'm telling you, hope will have you sitting in some stuff just because you can see the potential in it. And discernment doesn't just look at people and, you know, it listens to their energy when they enter the room, right? It notices who checks in without being asked to, who respects your boundaries without being begged, right? Discernment honors your peace without needing an explanation. Excuse me. And so let's just tell the truth today. Many of your spirits have been screaming louder than their words. You just didn't want to believe it. Like, your spirit has been screaming to get your attention, but you just didn't want to hear it. You didn't want to believe it. You wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt when your discernment was begging you to give yourself the benefit and the distance. This new you, this healed version of you or healing version of you doesn't seek closure from chaos. This new you doesn't do a tug of war with people who weaponize your empathy. The new you no longer gives access to second chances to red flags just because they showed up wrapped in some sort of childhood trauma, or they try to gaslight you with their version of, I'm working on me. I'm a work in progress. Okay. If you say so, right? Because I know that I've worked too hard. I don't know about y'all, but I have worked entirely too hard to allow my peace to fall by the wayside. I'm not there. Like, I'm not going to allow their peace or my peace that I've worked so hard for to keep entertaining confusion. Right? They failed that assignment. So when you go quietly, when you exit these situations quietly, it's not an attitude. I feel like that is healing analytics, right? Like when you stop explaining yourself, it may feel a little cold, it may get a little chilly, but it's really clarity. And so when you protect your space, you're not being petty, you're just preserving your energy. Because this healed version of you, baby, we got a PhD now, right? I got a PhD in energy. And my favorite subject of all, y'all, is peaceology. I don't know if y'all have ever taken that, but peaceology, that is my favorite subject. I excel in it. Peaceology. I'm gonna sign y'all up for them courses, okay? We're gonna have peaceology lessons. Peaceology 101, peaceology 102. So again, I want you guys to start asking yourself, who still has access to you, right? But they don't have the maturity to handle you. What would it look like if you started prioritizing your peace over people pleasing for the rest of the year? What would it look like? Ghost said, I stopped defending myself because I got tired of the misunderstanding of who I am. Absolutely. And their perception of you does not define who you are. So, hey, I am what you say I am. It's cool. I don't really care. I don't identify as that, but go off, right? Because I know who I am. More importantly, I know whose I am. So, the rest of you are just observers, right? You're just fans. Come on with the purple hoodie. Royalty. So for those of you who are into journaling, I have a journal reflection for you today. And honestly, I encourage everybody to do this, whether you're into journaling or not, truthfully. I encourage you to write a letter to the version of you that used to second guess yourself. Like, what would you tell them now? And what would you want to tell them about what they deserve moving forward? So yeah, I encourage everybody to write a letter to the version of themselves that used to have the disease to please, that was just stuck in a cycle of giving and over explaining and shrinking. And from this moment on, what are you going to encourage them to do? Because let's be clear, you're not hard to love just because they weren't soft enough to hold on to you without breaking you. And this healed you doesn't fight for seats at tables that we were sent in to flip over. Because whether y'all know it or not, there were some tables that y'all sat at that y'all were never meant to eat from. You were supposed to go in there and tear it down. You were supposed to flip it over and walk away. I'm not eating this. This attitude, this behavior, this energy that y'all serving, that is beneath me. Right? Flip the table over. I told y'all, sometimes I don't have positive words. Punch them in the throat if you want to. Allegedly. Y'all don't get in trouble. Don't y'all go tell people that I said for y'all to punch people in the throat. I said, if that's what you want to do what you want to do. Okay? It's Thursday. Y'all know what we do on Thursday. No crash outs. But I'm just saying, flip the table over if you got to. You weren't supposed to eat there. Kel said, well. Kel's over there like, do I punch him? Do I not punch him? Listen, I'm serious though. Guys, growth got me acting brand new. And I'm okay with that. I honestly am flattered when somebody be like, she acting brand new. Because I'll be like, yep, you see me. right? So, I mean, I can proudly say, yeah, growth will cost you your comfort zone and your comfort crowd, right? Yeah, you've changed. And no, you don't owe anybody a press release, a permission slip, or a public statement explaining why you're not showing up like the version of you they benefited from. Because truthfully, that version of you wasn't even whole, right? You were hustling for worth. You were dimming your light just to make other people feel secure in their shadows. And so now we're glowing differently. So, like I said, when they be like, she acting brand new, I'll be like, yeah, I am brand new. I am beautifully unavailable for anything beneath my boundaries. Baby, I am brand new. And every single day I get made over, right? Every single day I wake up brand new. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new opportunity. It's a brand new chance. Blue, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of the above, sis. So let's not just proudly tell them, I am brand new. Sorry about you. Sorry if you're still the same old you, right? Because growth didn't just adjust the schedule, growth adjusted my spirit. So not only do I no longer make time to entertain other people's BS, right? I don't internalize other people's BS either, because my schedule has been adjusted, but my spirit has also been adjusted. So I no longer feel guilty for saying no. I no longer second guess my peace for the sake of keeping the peace. I no longer shrink myself to stay in rooms that I already outgrown. I'm not going to put myself in a box that I was never meant to be in, that I can't even fit. So I'm done bending and contorting myself to fit in somebody else's perfect little box. Because I was never, I wasn't delivered in a box, right? I mean, I'm a gift, but I wasn't packaged as a present. So yeah, I've outgrown these things. And that's not pride, even though I'm proud of the work that I've done, right? But that's not my pride in the sense of that's not my ego. That's progress. And they don't understand the emotional rent that it costs to unlearn survival mode and to start living in your power. Like that is the highest rent. I don't care what you're paying for your mortgage. That emotional rent costs more than any mansion and anything that you can think of. Right? They don't know how hard it was to stop people pleasing, how sacred it is to finally feel safe in your own presence. So if they want to show up, they want to run their mouth, let them talk. Let them label you as distant, as cold. Because in reality, I'm not distant. I'm just disciplined. I'm focused. I've traded codependency for clarity, chaos for consistency, and trauma bonds for sacred boundaries. Because I know that is not arrogance. That is alignment. Let them. Right? And yeah, I know that the old version of us would have sat there and wrote a 4-page letter. Right? But the new you is allowing his or her silence to speak volumes. Again, not because we're petty, right? But because peace doesn't perform. So no longer are we going to negotiate our value with people who benefit from our confusion, who benefit from us being broken. The truth is, when you start allowing, or like allowing yourself to fully love yourself louder, you automatically disappoint the people who loved your silence more than they did your voice. But you're not obligated to stay the same for people who never healed the version of you that they had access to. Like they just, thank you. Yeah, peace doesn't perform. You're not obligated to stay the same, especially to make yourself, to allow yourself to continue to be heard. McMoncy, welcome in. So yeah, when they show up and they try to project the way that they feel about my healing, I just politely say, yo, I didn't switch up. I synced up. Right? I wasn't aligned before, but yeah, I had to get in sync with my spirit, with my standards, with my sanity. Right? They're bad, right? So I mean, again, if you are in this season right now and you feel like you need a little soul check-in, ask yourself, where in life are you still shrinking out of habit, not alignment? And what would it look like if you showed up fully healed, fully honest, fully brand new without apology? Because yes, we know that growth isn't always graceful, but it is always worth it. So we have to keep evolving. And we have to let the ones who don't get it watch from a distance that we lovingly place them in. Be petty but peaceful for real. Right? And when I say petty but peaceful for real, we have to understand we're not beefing. I just see things clearly now. And when clarity hits, it doesn't always come with closure. It often comes with distance, silence, right? It's that sobering, necessary distance. Because old us would have explained, the old you would have texted back, like I said, long explanations, trying to translate our worth into a language that these people can understand. But the healed us knows better. See, that healed version of us is now bilingual. We are fluent in peace and boundaries. Like I speak peace fluently. I speak boundaries effortlessly. So I want to be gentle but truthful when I say you don't have to carry the weight of being misunderstood. That's a job for people who are still seeking validation, not you. You've already validated yourself through every single season you didn't think that you would survive. You already know what it looks like to sit in the mirror and confront your patterns, to break cycles that your bloodline called normal, to choose solitude over performance, to stop watering what drains you just because it once was familiar to you. It's not petty. That's powerful. It's like I said, it's not cold, it's clarity. And peace now, yeah, peace will cost you your performing self. It's going to cost you access to chaos that you used to call comfort. But there is a reward. And the reward is a healed nervous system, a quiet soul, a soft life. And look, let me tell you what I learned the hard way. Not everyone deserves to know the healed version of you. That version is sacred. That version didn't just survive. That version resurrected. Like that version, it was here all along, but at some point, trauma and everything that we've gone through in life has killed it off. But it resurrected. It came back stronger than ever. So again, I understand that I'm not distant. I'm delivered. I've been brought back to life. delivered from guilt, from obligation, from codependent people pleasing that has kept me exhausted for far too long. It emotionally bankrupt me. So again, we not beefing. I just see you clearly now. And sometimes clarity requires emotional surgery, right? Cutting off ties with folks who were only attached to that brokenness. It is time for us to let them go. Not to be shady, but consider it a spiritual hygiene. Whoops, got a little dirt on me. Got to wash that off, right? That toxic energy, I got a little bit on me. I got to wash that off. Let them go. Let them go. Because this is your season to be both soft and strategic. To choose joy like it's a job, and to protect your peace like it's property. It is time for us to stop auditioning for rooms that we've outgrown. And it is time for us to begin to build our own space, our own rooms to breathe in. You're not hard to love. And I don't know who needs to hear that today, but you are not hard to love. They just weren't soft enough to hold on to you without breaking you. But you are not hard to love. And you are absolutely worthy of love. Now, before we part ways, let me leave you all with a little love and light. As always, I encourage you to keep breathing through the highs, through the lows, and every single moment in between. I want you to keep choosing peace, even if it feels just out of reach. And I want you to know that here at the Self Care Club, you are always seen, always valued, and always supported. So don't be afraid to take up space, to make a little room for you to breathe. I love you all to life. And I am praying that your day is not just amazing, but aligned, intentional, and yes, on purpose, filled with purpose. This has been another Room to Breathe podcast, and I can't wait to connect with you again soon. Thank you.